Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Late the W podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mahal. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, leave a 5-star review, all of that fantastic jazz. If it's your first time joining, make sure you follow on social media at Late the W pod on all of that. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, we're active on all of those. So, without further ado, let's sound the horn and get into this episode.
The pitch from Acevedo.
Swung on and lined down the left field line for a base hit. Fly ball, gap, right center field. And
Double him up at second.
Luke is going back to the 1-8 track. Get out the right, run and Buster Grandma. It is grand salami time.
We send Seattle to the American League Championship Series for the first time in 24 years.
Opening day is this week, everybody. We have almost made it to the beginning of the 2026 season for the Seattle Mariners, and I am back in Seattle for the week. So we are ready to rock and roll. We are moving to 3 episode weeks this week. So Monday morning means episode number 1 of the week, and it's episode number 132 of the Light the W podcast. I'm Mahal Domingo Anderson. I will be riding solo today as we're talking about all the recent news coming out of Mariners camp. What is the opening day roster shaping up to look like? Who has been really putting on a show this spring? What did the spring breakout look like? What happened with Cal and Randy? We're talking about all of that good stuff starting now. So, there are so many places that we could start with this episode. But where else is there to start than with Cole Young? Because this guy has been really damn good this spring. He's hitting the ball really, really hard. He had 2 home runs a few nights ago, including one that was an absolute, bomb out to right field. I think it was clocked at 474. 478, pardon. I mean, this guy is unreal. He's been playing shortstop for the past couple days. We'll get into what that potentially might mean, but just an incredible spring for this guy. And as he looks to go into this sophomore season and build on what was a solid rookie season, it was up and down. But for a kid that was 21 years old as a rookie, what more can you ask for than what Cole Young gave you? I don't know what more you can expect from this guy. Look, was he 20% below league average at the end of the year? Yes. That came from one really big slump at the end of the season, though. You look at what he had over the course of the entire season. He played 77 games, had 257 plate appearances. I want to look at 178 of those plate appearances over 50 games. Now, I did a full episode on Cole Young in episode 123. This was prior to him really breaking out in the spring. But if you look at what he did in 50 games between June 7th and August 15th, 2-hit game at the start, 3-hit game at the end. He hit 281, 369, 399, 768 OPS. You take that over an entire season, 100%. And he doesn't even have to be that good. That was a 124 WRC plus, 24% above league average. And for my Astros fans out there who might be listening, that is very similar to what a man named Jose Altuve put up last year. Now this is a 50-game stretch. It's different. It is. And I'm nitpicking. I'm 100% nitpicking to try and pull out these stats that make Cole Young look better than he was over the course of the entire season. Because, yes, he was not good over the course of the entire season. But that 50-game stretch can get you really excited. And that was 2/3 of the games he played in. So he took that. He said, how do I build on that this offseason? He had a great offseason. Jerry Dipoto was excited about that offseason. He said at the start of camp that he looked unbelievable. Dipoto said that about Cole. He said he took the offseason seriously. Young asked for advice from some of the veterans on the team, most namely Julio Rodriguez. How do I learn? How do I build on what I just did? How do I get better? How do I become a productive, everyday second baseman for the Seattle Mariners team? And Julio told him just to work. You work your ass off. You get stronger. You get some power in yourself. You get better defensively. You get better at the plate. You get better at putting the ball in play with authority. And that is what Cole Young has done this spring. 18 games, 59 plate appearances, tiny sample. It's spring training. What can you really take away from it? Hard to know. But he's hitting 302, 373, 717 slugging. 4 doubles, 6 homers, 10 extra base hits out of his 16 hits. OPS over 1,000. And he started kind of slow. But he has come into his own this spring. And if he brings any resemblance of that to the plate in 2026 for this Mariners team, the expectations for this team that are already as high as they have ever been go through the roof above my head. They go to a level that we as Mariners fans have never experienced. Something new, something different, and something that, as scary as it is really damn exciting also. And it just takes a few of those young guys clicking. Cole Young is going to be the name that's brought up most namely. Dom Canzone, can he have another good year? Can Luke Raley bounce back? Not a young guy, but same type of thing. Can Colt Emerson come up and have some sort of impact? Can Bryce Miller bounce back? And you don't need all of these things to happen. But you look at what the Mariners have thrown together roster-wise, and there are enough potential things to click to push this team from here to here and push them up, that the ceiling of this team is really, really high. Well, the floor to me is also really high. And that's one of the things that really excites me about this team, is that to me, this team has as high of a floor as we have seen in at least 2 decades from a Seattle Mariners ball club. That floor-ceiling combo allows for this team to have expectations that they can meet, but push past. Those expectations aren't the limit. You look at a Dodgers team. What's the expectation for this Dodgers team? Win the World Series. What is better than winning the World Series? Winning 117 ball games? That would be amazing for them. Can they do it? Absolutely. Do I think they're going to? No. That's really, really difficult to do. But what's the expectation for the Seattle Mariners team? Win the AL West again. That's the first expectation. Get into the postseason with the division title. Get the first or second seed. Get that first round bye into the ALDS. And then go win your ALDS series and give yourself 7 games to get yourself to the dance. Get yourself to a place you have never been. That's the expectation. Reach where you were last year. Get to the ALCS. Win the division again. That's the expectation for this Mariners team. And if a few things click right, you take that expectation, you're like, well, that expectation feels really reasonable. That's like, not only is that the expectation, that is, you have to do that. That is beyond just an expectation that's in my head. That's you got to go do that. Or the season really feels like a failure. But we'll get into that more on opening day with Jeff. What are the expectations for this team? What do we want to see from this team? What do we believe we can see from this team? But Cole Young clicking would be massive for this team. A guy that's been talked about with Cole Young this spring, especially at the start, was Colt Emerson. There's talk about whether or not he would make the opening day roster, and ultimately he has not made the opening day roster. I think that is probably the expectation. He would have had to have a 2022 Julio Rodriguez-esque spring training to force his way onto the opening day roster. But this guy is unbelievable. This guy is a great prospect for this Mariners team, the best they have had since the likes of Julio Rodriguez and Jared Kelenic. This is a top 10, top 5 prospect in all of baseball. And he's only played 6 games in AAA. And that was after just 34 games in AA Arkansas. Now, in those games at AA Arkansas, he had a 790 OPS. He had 282, 360, 430. Small sample size. But he showed that he could hit that pitching. And the Mariners were like, yeah, we'll throw you in for this divisional race for the Rainiers down in Tacoma, which is where he is expected to start this season. And you got to remember, this kid was drafted out of high school just a few years ago in 2023. He is 20 years old. Colt Emerson is. He is just barely older than I am myself. He would be a sophomore in college right now. But put that through your head. Where were you when you were 20 years old? Were you knocking on the door of a World Series contending MLB baseball team? I'd probably contend not. I would likely contend you weren't. But that's where Cole Emerson is. And is him being sent back down to the minors something where it's like a big deal? No, it was expected. It's the right move. You be careful. You don't rush him. You let him show, again, that he can hit AA or AAA wherever you send him. And I'd advocate maybe for sending him back to AA. He only had 34 games there. Let him show a little bit more there. Let him show that he can truly, truly dominate AA, which is a harder hitting environment than Tacoma and the PCL is. Now, the pitching itself is a little bit more advanced in AAA, but the environment for hitting itself isn't as hard as that ballpark that the Travelers have out in Arkansas. Ultimately, this is a guy that is very likely going to be on the Mariners roster at some point during the 162 games from this opening Thursday until the beginning of October. At some point, he will be on this roster, barring injury. And you want this guy to produce. And what gives him the best opportunity to produce? Letting him get consistent at-bats at the minor league level. Because if he wasn't going to get those consistent at-bats with the big league ball club, there was no reason to have him here. And the only reason that this discussion continued to pick up a little bit closer to the end of spring is because of J.P. Crawford's shoulder injury, which it now sounds like he for sure will be missing opening day, as expected. He still hasn't played in a spring training game, and there's one left tomorrow. And hasn't played in a spring training game since that last one he played in, is what I mean. He's played 3 spring training games at shortstop the entirety of the spring. Has played just 7 total. He's not ready to be up with the big league team and producing. He needs to start on the IL. He needs to get himself ready so that he can go play 162. Because while I've just talked about Colt Emerson, J.P. Crawford is a guy that is a leader on this team. You need him to be a guy that can get on base and be a leader at the shortstop position. The number 6 on the field is crucial for leadership around the infield and around the team. And J.P. Crawford is your 6. He is your shortstop. Will Cole Emerson take that job at some point this year? Potentially. But don't rely on that. Let's see J.P. Crawford have some chances, and let's see him hopefully produce. And as not the biggest fan of J.P. Crawford myself, I want him healthy when he's up with the big league team. Don't rush him. Just like I said with Colt Emerson. Let these guys make sure that they're ready. Because the expectations, as I said, for this ball club, they're up here. They are already in places that we really have not been, at least in a very long time. As we continue moving, a talking point recently has been the WBC, has been the handshake debacle, handshake gate, as some people are calling it, between Cal Raleigh, Randy Rosarena. Well, we finally think that came to an end. We hope that came to an end. With Randy Rosarena finally releasing a statement. That statement read, quote, "I understand that with opening day a few days away, hype me up, baby. I don't want it to be a distraction. Cal and I have talked, and I apologize for what I said after the game. Nothing in the WBC takes away from the fact that we are brothers and teammates. He's family, and we are both focused on helping the Mariners win the World Series." That's a public statement. Whether he believes it is a different conversation. That's not the conversation I'm here to have, though. The beef is squashed. They are all good. This whole thing of, well, is this going to not let the Mariners repeat as divisional champs? I was never buying it. I was never having it. Randy did actually seem mad. But now we're good. And now it's a nothing burger. Now it doesn't matter. Now we're rocking and rolling. This is destiny seat. This is the destiny year for Seattle sports. It's 2026, baby. This is the year. This is it. Randy and Cal, that beef is no more. No more of that. As we continue moving, there are things to talk about. Last thing on the actual big league club, we're going to talk about George Kirby briefly. Kirby looks like he might be slotting in for the Friday start for the Seattle Mariners against Cleveland. And this guy had some velocity in his start on Saturday. 99 miles an hour twice. 98 3 times. George Kirby, are you ready for opening day? Sure seems like you are. Kirby pushing to make himself some money, pushing to have a bounce back season, pushing to have a good season. That velocity in the spring, it always makes me a little nervous, but we're at the end of spring, so a little bit less nervous now. And for a guy that dealt with injuries last year and probably had the worst year of his career, statistically, like of a 4.21 ERA. He's looking to bounce back into the threes, which is where he expects to be, where he belongs, where he normally is. 33 starts in 2024. This guy had a 3.53 ERA. 2023, he was a 3.35. That was his sophomore season. That was the best season of his career. 190 and 2/3 innings that season. How does he get back to that? 118 ERA plus. 3.34 FIP. And the FIP last year was consistent. And it's always going to be that way. Because George Kirby is a guy that doesn't walk guys. Doesn't give up very many home runs. And last year, his strikeout numbers went up significantly. Went from 8.5 strikeouts per 9 to nearly 10. It went up a great chunk. And if he takes those strikeout numbers and combines them with the walk numbers of 23 and 24 and prevents hits from falling, then we're talking. Now, Kirby had a whole thing where he changed his arm slot last year after coming back from injury, went from a little bit more vertical to a little bit more down on the side. And that meant that his stuff played a little bit differently. And in my opinion, that was part of the reason why he dealt with some struggles. When your stuff plays differently than you're expecting it to at this time of the year, 12 months ago, when Kirby was hurt, but he's expecting some stuff to play specifically. And when he comes back, it's playing differently because his arm slot is lower. Well, now you have to learn how to use those all pitches in tandem. How do you use the four seam and the slider and the sinker and the curveball and the splitter and the changeup that he all has? And how do you work those all in together? That slider moved more horizontally than it ever had. That allowed for more strikeout. It allowed for more chase. It allowed for more whiff. That whiff rate from the 39th percentile up to the 61st. The strikeout percentage, we already talked about how that went up a huge margin for Kirby last year. And now, after a full offseason working with that arm slot, understanding how those pitches move, how they work with each other, how they tunnel with one another, now I think you can start to see how that additional movement, beyond just the pure strikeouts, is going to play differently. It's as if he was a rookie in some senses, because the stuff is playing different. He's almost learning the big leagues again. So there's the potential for George Kirby to be very good. And if his velocity is sitting 97, averaging 97, let alone 98, 99, through 6 innings, 7 inning starts, we're talking about a whole different monster of a starting pitcher. And that is something in of itself to be pumped up for, to be excited about, to be amped about. Get yourself amped. Opening day is this freaking week. Talk yourself into every guy having a breakout season, a bounce back season, having an MVP Cy Young season. Talk yourself into all of that. Because that's what opening day is for. I like to call this week Hope Week. This is good vibes and hope all week long. Take the hot takes and run with them. Let them rock. Let them roll. George Kirby bounce back season, looking the best maybe he's ever been in his career this year? Count me in on it. F it, you know? F it, we ball. That's enough on George Kirby for now, though. Let's talk about some young kids. Now let's talk about one of my favorite events of the most past couple years. It's the Spring Breakout game. Mariners had theirs against Milwaukee a few days ago. Ryan Sloan started on the bump for the Mariners. This guy, man. This guy, Ryan Sloan. What a dog. Can we talk about Ryan Sloan for a second? I mean, his numbers on paper last year were good. But when you see him pitch, yeah, it's a whole nother dude, man. It is a whole other dude. This guy has unbelievable stuff. He has the potential to be one of the best starting pitching prospects in all of baseball next year. All of baseball. This is a guy that has added a two-seamer. He has a cutter. He's throwing his fastball topping out at 99 miles an hour. He hit 99 3 times in his 3 innings of work. Had 3 strikeouts, 9 up, and 9 down. Ryan Sloan, splitter, cutter that averaged 93 to 94. Heath Law has an above average slider, average splitter, plus cutter. Come on. Come on, Ryan Sloan. Like this guy, I might be getting too excited now about him. He feels like he has that aura about him. The velocity was there. He got 6 whiffs in his 3 innings. Didn't give up a hit. 9 up, 9 down. Threw 39 pitches in 3 innings. That's plenty fine. Plenty fine. He went to some 3-ball counts, but when you're still under 40 pitches through 3 innings, to me, that's all day. All day. Thank you, Ryan. Went through the Brewers lineup once, which is one of, if not the best farm system in baseball. Have yourself a day, kid. Have yourself a day. That's what I want to see, man. That's what I want to see. And the spring breakout itself, what a blast. And the Mariners showed off some of that top talent. Johnny Farmello had a hit. Arroyo had a hit. Las Montes, 3 for 3 with a pair of ribbies. Nick Becker came in as a pinch hitter, had a hit. Yorger Bautista, the beast, had a pair of hits. 3 hard hit balls from him. Had a triple and a homer. And that homer was no cheap shot. It was a bomb. It was a bomb. 109 off the bat on that. 110 on the triple. And casually just had a fly out at 100 off the bat. So yeah, have yourself a day, kid. All fun on that sense. Now, some pitchers got a little bit torched around. That's fine. It happens against a very good Brewers lineup. I mean, you talk about Jed Williams, Jesus Mate, Luis Peña, Jefferson Caro, Luis Lara, all in that lineup. It's a beast of a lineup. It really, really is. But Ryan Sloan, he mowed through all of those guys with ease. And he really is the story out of this breakout game. A spring breakout game for the Mariners. He's really been a story of camp. You can't forget. This guy was born in 2006. 2006. I'm a huge Ryan Sloan fan. I'm really excited to see what this season looks like for him. I'm really excited to see what this season looks like overall for the Mariners. Opening day, when this releases, just 3 sleeps away. As I'm recording this right now, just 4. Get yourself ready. Get yourself hyped. Get yourself so pumped. And talk yourself into all the fun stories for this season. As for me in this episode, that's going to do it on episode 132 of the Light the W podcast. As always, go follow all the socials. Been doing more on TikTok. Had some Astros fans be real happy with me on Saturday. Make sure you go look at that Jose Altuve clip. Either way, though, thank you for joining me on episode 132 of the show. Till next time, go M's and peace.